welcome to Pre-Match Focus with me, your host Tim, and
me, Lee. And today's show is sponsored by DSFG, which stands for Don't Suffer Fools Gladly. DSFG is a new brand which is known for its street and casual wear, hooded tops and tracksuits, t-shirts and other garments. You can find them on Instagram. If any products interest you, you can send a message to them via Instagram, quoting the code PREMATCH for 20% off. What a deal. And I see you're sporting one of the tops there, aren't you, the hoodies?
Oh, that bad boy?
Yeah. There's your maker. There's your maker.
Oh, that's cool. These are really, really comfortable.
Well, I need one, man. I'm still waiting for mine. What happened to the first class? I'm only joking, mate. I haven't properly put my order in yet. I need to still have a look down.
Get them orders in. 20% off. Nice clubber.
They are indeed. Love a good order.
Yeah, you know.
I've got a bit too big for mine now. I've sort of got a bit fatter over the years, so they're out of my way. They're like tank tops now. So, but yeah, I mean, judging by today's weather, I think they can't come soon enough as well. So, get your orders in on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Some good clubber. Check your Instas. Right, guys. Anyway, on with the show. So, Leroy. Rangnick.
Yeah. How long's he been out the game, Tim? Do you know?
He's not. He's at Lokomotiv Moscow at the minute.
Oh yeah, he's in like a sporting director role, but I mean, like in terms of management, is he
takes on all these different kind of roles to improve clubs? Obviously, did it with Hoffenheim, so everyone you know that has been introduced to the Premiership. Half of them in Liverpool's side have come through the Ralph Rangnick way. So you like see Naby Keita, Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino. Honestly, these are all big players. You know, they've all come through Holland at obviously at Salzburg. But he was kind of the guy which kind of got the whole Red Bull thing going, and obviously talent spotting and picking a way to play for this project, so to speak. And obviously, we look at the likes of Jurgen Klopp and Tuchel. They all crossed paths and followed his plan in the way they execute their plans for the clubs as well. So
a bit of the creator of the G-Gem press, or whatever you want to call it. Was it Gegen press or G-Gem press they call it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I'd like to say he's a name that's been around for years to me, but not really looked at his teams play in a way. So it'd be an interesting one to see how he gets Man U going.
Absolutely. I think it's interesting though. You've got Pep, you've got Tuchel, you've got Jurgen Klopp, you've got Rangnick and Conte all in the Premier League. Honestly, it's going to be interesting because this guy...
Bruno Lage, you know, the Portuguese Premier winner, you know.
I don't know about Bruno Lage, mate. Honestly, I did. Wolves are flying.
Yeah, we are top 6 at the moment. So.
All because I keep giving them positive match predictions every week, you see.
I'll keep,
You keep giving them to lose.
Yeah, no, yeah, well, not lose, maybe draw. I've had us to win this week, so it's probably going to end in a disaster. And I kept having Norwich to win, didn't I? I see we got Norwich. I kept having Norwich to win. So I've had to put my foot in somewhere, haven't I, and change the tide of both teams.
Yeah.
And now it'll probably go the other way around.
It probably will, yeah. Carrow Road as well. I
had a good week on the tips last week. On the Saturday, I got 6 out of 8, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, yeah. Impressed.
I can't remember what games I didn't get them in. I think it was the Wolves one, definitely. I didn't get the tip in.
United.
That didn't sound right, did it?
United match was the other one.
Was it United?
Yeah. And
I got the I didn't get the tips on the...
I think that was it.
I didn't get tips on the Sunday, but I got the results right, so I'm going to add them on. I got 2-1 on the and 3-0.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, but Chelsea clean sheet. over 45 booking points in the Villa game. Burnley Palace, both teams to score. What was the Newcastle score? Was that 2-2?
Yeah.
That was the one I got wrong, and then it was both scoring no draw, hadn't they?
Oh, yeah.
Over 2.5 goals, Norwich. And United penalty. I was impressed with that one, the United penalty in the match, and we were saying Watford might get it. And they did, after all that. But less said about it, was all the better for you.
Yeah, honestly, it was. But then again, I suppose good news has ended up coming out of it. United looked completely different midweek against Villarreal, and we've actually beaten the hoodoo. We've broken the hoodoo curse of not beating Villarreal. So that's a start in itself. So
Like Carrick's gutted, really, isn't it?
yeah,
Might have wanted a bit more time to try and implement his way.
You can't have your first job in management as a long-term interim, even for a club the size of Man United. You know what I mean?
I suppose they've already gone down that route with Solskjaer and then saw enough to give him the job.
Even prior to that with Ryan Giggs as well,
Yeah.
Took quite a few games on and they still didn't give him the permanent job, and obviously Moisey came in. But I think realistically, I think this is the right appointment. Everything about it works, and he's going to go. He's not just 6 months and that's him done. It's 2 further years as a consultant, kind of like a sporting director, I suppose, to kind of implement a structure in United. It's almost like a year too late, maybe, at the minute. So they could have done this a while ago, but better late than never. And at the end of the day, I think obviously they need to. I think the objective now isn't to win this league; it's to guarantee, because you ain't going to finish ahead of them 3 of Liverpool, City, and Chelsea. So you've got to be in the mix and be in that top 4 spot. Try and grab that other spot for Champions League. I think that's a new objective, and I think that's clear by everyone's standards. But we've started the league campaign this year, so we'll see what happens. But
we're not going to have another Premier League team finish 5th and win the Champions League, Seems to be the English way, doesn't it? So all out to the top 4 and then go and win the thing.
I fully expect United. I think the thing is he'll come in and he's got. You look at the players at his disposal, and obviously it's how to work that team to fit together. You know?
Everyone says they've got a great squad. So.
Yeah, they have. We have. You look at what we was pre-Solskjaer and what we are post-Solskjaer, and it's in a far better position than it was before he took it over. So I think he would just never gonna get us a trophy. And I think the problem is he was gonna be judged this year on what he did, not last year, because this year obviously he's got his 3 extra signings in. So this team now is a Solskjaer team. So there's no excuses, is there? You get judged on what you've done, what output, because obviously you've been sifting out the people who was the Mourinhos and the Van Gaals and the Moisey signings. And we've got to this point 3 years later from Mourinho, and we've just struggled. But there's just no. You look at the other clubs; they've all got a way of playing. They've got a style, and United used to have a style, but it's like individual brilliant stuff that you're relying on, and it doesn't work that. So he might work in 16 against 6, well, maybe 15 of your opposition in the Premier League majority of the time. But even this year, it's not been working in them. So new look, new start.
Be interesting to see how he does. Been name bandied around for that. I think he was an outsider before Nuno to maybe take over roles in the Championship. I know his name is mentioned.
I've heard it in the past for a few different clubs.
Yeah, West Brom was one of them. They wanted him. I think they were very close to trying to agree a deal with him, which would have been good for him at the time. But
they got Sam Allardyce.
I think it was before. I think it was even worse, like Pepe Mel or something like that. But I think they're having a few problems with that. A lot of Albion fans about to have complained about the style of football under their manager now, just saying he's a French Pulis now. So we might not be seeing them back so soon.
No, I don't. They seem to hit a brick wall a bit, haven't they?
Yeah, I think the easiest conclusion you come to out those is found out, I suppose. It doesn't sound like he's got a plan B to what he had.
Yeah.
I think the good thing for him, he has got good players there, so they probably won't lose as many, but they're not really putting any teams to bed as well. They've been quite poor lately.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do a championship one of the days, and then
we'll try and do one next week then, shall we, Lee?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Why not? Right then, let's get on to some score predictions and some in-game betting tips then for the weekend's football. So we've got games just on Saturday the 27th of November and Sunday the 28th of November. This week there's no Friday night fixtures and in the Premier League, and there's no Monday night fixtures in the Premier League. Very nice to get rid of the international break again. That was doing my head in that week before last.
Yeah. I've just remembered, I think we've got some midweek games as well, so we'll probably have to do another show for them.
Oh yeah, we'll be here for the next round of shows as well. I think you're absolutely right.
But I'll be at Molineux. I'll just remember I'll be at Molineux on Wednesday. So.
Well, that'll be for the game itself, won't it? So we'll be prior to that, I should imagine.
Yeah.
And we can get closer to you guys and see our like a bit earlier to see how you got on with some of these in-game tips. As I say, Lee done very, very well last week. And as I say, we said last week's show, don't put every single one on because you probably won't win. Let's be honest. In this day and age, trying to pick out a successful bet's hard enough as it is. But to pick something out when you're putting every single one of what our tips are, maybe just pick handpick the odd 2 or 3 out and maybe do another 2 or 3 on a different ticket or something like that. You know,
if I pulled out 10 out of 10 every week, I wouldn't be having to.
I won't be sat with me here. I know that much.
I'll be doing it from my balcony in Mallorca or something.
Right then, on to the first of the Saturday the 27th kickoffs, and we've got Arsenal and Newcastle, Lee.
Yeah, well, Arsenal have won the last 5 meetings between the two teams. I think, again, I've gone for Arsenal to win 2-1 this time, so they will win again, in my opinion. It's a bit of a tricky part of the game because, again, it's still a new manager. I don't think Eddie will be in attendance yet. I don't know whether he's out of isolation yet or. I mean, he had COVID, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So whether he'll be in attendance, if he is there, then it's more room for them to impress in front of him in person.
Mm-hmm.
Arsenal can sometimes make life hard for themselves, so that's where I'll see Newcastle getting the goal.
We see Newcastle getting the goal.
Yeah. But usually conceding more as well. So
that's been half the problem.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Arsenal didn't have a great result last time, but probably to be expected to an extent against Liverpool. I thought they would put more of a fight. I think I had 3-2 Liverpool last week. I thought they'd put way more of a fight against them, but just like back to how it was at the start of the season for Arsenal in terms of performance. But yeah,
crashing back down to earth.
Yeah, and Newcastle's thing was playing their out of form Brentford team and not being able to capitalise on it. Really, you know, with even though Eddie wasn't there, it's still under new management team, and they just couldn't find a way to still win the game, and they're still without a win. So it's looking bleak. And if you're going into the Championship with the richest club in the world. I don't know what the agenda will be on signing players. They'll sign good players for that division.
Oh, the players will just be going for the money then, won't they? You know, you're going to get the worst end of the Premiership kind of players, aren't you?
But it'd be enough to get. I mean, we can see it at the moment with the Championship. The top 3 teams are probably the 3 you'd pick on paper to go back up.
I think they're going to be a dead certain, aren't they?
Yeah. So you've got, I'll say, if Newcastle go down, they probably have the strongest ever team in the Championship. next season if they pick the recruitment right. But they're going to have to splash out in January at this rate because I can't see them winning here.
I think they're bound to anyway, aren't they? I think they've got a short list like longer than a baby's arm anyway. So
yeah, but I think the thing on top is if they're going ambitious, then it's going to be players who want reassurance that they'll be in the Premier League. And they'll probably be down to those players to make that difference. But I don't think you could ever assure.
They'll be signing Chiellini, Bonucci, Gianluca Buffon.
I think even though they play well in the tournaments, in the Euros, I think like Chiellini and Bonucci, I think it'd be all going for them coming over at their age.
You know it. That's what I'm saying. That's what they'll be thinking. They'll be like, we've got all these big names. And like, yeah, should have had them 10 years ago, though, pal.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see. I mean, like, especially if Newcastle do go down. I mean, Christ, I don't know. It's just going to be real tough running for them now because going this amount, I don't think any team's gone this amount of games without winning, have they, at the start of the season? I don't think even Derby. I think Derby did it before that.
I know.
Their record. That was beating Newcastle as well. So
even Sheffield United last year was bad, wasn't it? But
yeah, I think they might have been about 12 games.
I think it was about that, yeah. So we'll see. We shall see. But what are you saying? What's your prediction for this one, then, Lee?
But I'd look at the last 5 games where Arsenal won them, and in the last 5 games, Aubameyang scored in every single one. So maybe look for a joint bet of Aubameyang to score and Arsenal to win the game. Might give you some decent odds back off in, can't they?
And what are you saying? 1-0?
2-1 Arsenal.
2-1 Arsenal. I'm going with a draw.
Ooh.
1-1 draw. And my little tip for this week is Callum Wilson to score.
That'd be interesting.
It's like a stuck record now, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's like me playing Football Manager. That's all he ever does is score against one.
Right then, so there's your match predictions and the in-game tip for Arsenal Newcastle. So on to Crystal Palace and Aston Villa. This will be a good game.
Out of my pre-match analysis last week, I was most impressed by my Villa one because I said to you, didn't I? I says it'll be nervy at the start and you watch them go late goal, and I was gutted it didn't end up 1-0 because I went for that. I'd have got that analysis completely perfect if I had stayed at 1-0.
I know. I was thinking that at the time. I thought, hey, he's done all right here. And then
I think it's one of the, I think because Gerrard come with sort of a big reputation. Obviously, he's got the massive reputation as a player. He's done well as a manager in the 2-team league where he's gone undefeated. In any league, that's hard to do. But I've seen it time and again where someone comes with expectation and it's probably not as rosy from the start, and there's a few murmurs, and then they settle when they got that goal, and it's it was a good win for Villa to beat Brighton. But I did say I feel like Brighton are a bit like in terms of Brentford at the moment, where they might have that little drop off now.
Yeah.
All in favour. I mean, the Wolves are 6th at the moment, and we'll probably have a drop off as well. I mean, but we need to beat Norwich because
it's Norwich.
Yeah. Because we got Norwich and Burnley. We need to look at winning them too. So I think we got a month of Chelsea, Liverpool, might be Arsenal. I can't remember. But definitely Chelsea and Liverpool involved in it. There's 2 other tough teams in there that I can't quite remember. But yeah, I mean, Villa and Palace, you're expecting it to probably be around mid-table now by the end of the season. Obviously, I said in earlier shows I thought Palace would go down, but I think that's looking very unlikely now. They're playing some very good stuff. I'd be surprised if it did.
I agree.
Tough to beat alone. But I still think Villa, with getting that win, will give them a bit of a high. But because Palace are strong at home, I've gone for 1-1 in the game. I think let's see if I can get it right again. I reckon Palace will be 1-0, maybe looking comfortable in the game, then Villa might score late again.
Well, I've gone with a draw. I've gone with 2 apiece, though. I think it's going to be a bit more open. I think there's going to be more goals, especially that I think defensively, they're both more vulnerable than they are in the attacking third. So yeah, I fancy 2 apiece, but I do see what you're saying. I do agree. I think it'll be too close to call, and I think it'll just end up a draw. But so, what are you saying in regards to your tips for this one, then, Lee?
I was gone for both teams to score on that one. Feeling that they will both hit the back of the net. Yeah,
excellent. Right then, on to Liverpool and Southampton. Remember the days when Liverpool were like half of Southampton's team?
Still are, aren't they? I wonder who they'll be looking at now. Yeah, maybe the tide mate. Well, Southampton did have a Liverpool player last season in Minamino, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah, I thought I'd
go as a one-off. Oh, yeah. Danny Ings has been there as well. Don't forget. So
yeah.
Like
so they're starting to. They must have a good relationship in terms of negotiations. I don't think there's any Southampton players that Liverpool take at the moment. I don't think, but they've got some good players.
Van Dijk, they've had Sadio Mane,
Lallana over the past.
Lallana
obviously moved on.
Ricky Lambert was another one. Ricky Lambert. He was a beauty, wasn't he?
He even got an England cap out of that, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. He was flying back then, though. Fair play to him. They've had quite a few, and obviously Minamino's gone the opposite way.
Klein.
Lovren,
yeah. I remember in my dream team the first years at Southampton. Did Klein go one way or the other?
Daniel Klein went to Liverpool from Southampton. Yes.
Yeah, there's a fair few. I'm sure there's more. I'm pretty sure there's more.
I'm pretty sure there's more too.
They seem to have got more Southampton's way these days. They seem to have had more Liverpool players than the other way around. But I think Liverpool are
two, I think, innit?
Yeah, the last couple of deals have gone for Southampton, yeah.
So anyway, what are you saying about this game then?
Good showing from Liverpool with a sort of weakened team against Porto in the week. So, and that's coming up against the team that really needs to go at Liverpool really to get qualification. They've sort of messed it up in a way, haven't they? So, but so did Atletico, which sort of brings AC Milan back into it. It should be an interesting final day, that one will.
That will be a good game. As say they stole it 1-0, didn't they?
Yeah. But I actually thought that to myself. I fancied, because AC Milan hadn't picked up any points and they could come out of nowhere and get the first win and maybe qualify in the last game, which would be madness, really.
That will be.
But yeah, good showing from Liverpool in the week. And trying to remember how Southampton did last week now. How did they go? Did they draw?
Don't know if they lost, didn't they?
I'm trying to.
Oh no, I think they did draw. Shea Adams scored.
Yeah, he did, and I'm trying to think who was playing now.
I know they played. They played Norwich. They won 2-1.
Lost 2-1, didn't they? For Norwich. Norwich won.
Lost 2-1.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not the greatest result. I mean, they went on a good run. Again, with me saying about consistency of teams out of that top 6 usually. Well, you probably even say the top 4 these days because some of the teams outside just around the top 6 can't keep that consistency. But you know, Southampton had that little good run, didn't they? And now to lose to Norwich on top of it, which I kept saying, you know, Norwich should be due a result, but Southampton be really disappointed with that, you know, not to capitalise on it again. They could have been challenging probably top 6 themselves if they won that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Because 3 or 4 wins in the Premier League on the bench gets you into a good position.
9 points is a huge difference, especially this time.
Yeah.
Of the season, isn't it? So
I've gone for Liverpool to win 2-0. I think it'll just be routine this week unless they make a complete hash of things. But they've got nothing to fear about with the Champions League and that at the moment. So they should be focusing on just getting the job done, really, in terms of what they've got to do. So
I agree. I've gone with 3-1 Liverpool. I think they'll be far too strong for Southampton. If we were at Southampton, I could have probably foreseen a little upset, maybe.
Yeah, Yeah, I think if they'd have convincingly beat Norwich last week, I might have been interested, like looking at maybe a double chance Southampton on the game. But no, it's a really, because Liverpool sometimes can bide the time in breaking down teams on certain weeks. Usually, you'll probably see them absolutely destroy teams like 5-0, but sometimes they can, when pressure's a little bit on them to produce the results, they can sort of waver a little bit. So. But yeah, I've gone 2-0, and my tip for that would be, because of a 2-0, I've gone for Liverpool to keep a clean sheet. I think they've kept a clean sheet in the last 3 home games, so we'll see if they can do it again against Southampton.
With the easiest one of the ones that they've been playing, that's for sure.
Which will probably mean I can suit them.
Right, and on to your favourite club, Norwich against Wolves.
My 2 favourite clubs in the Premier League. What a game.
This will be. I bet it's a really good game, this.
It should be. I think in terms of an end-to-end game, I think Norwich will want to go at us. If Smith sort of, he didn't probably work this season with Villa, but, I've seen them at Brentford, and they've had a go at teams like us, to give us a tough time.
Yeah.
I
like how he started playing Cantwell again.
Yeah, I can't understand why he didn't really give a big run in the team. He was brilliant the first season. There was the last time he was in the Premier League, he scored near double figures, didn't he, in his first?
And he was brilliant when he went down to the Championship too.
Yeah. He probably didn't stand out as much in the Championship. Maybe too much as expected of him, but to see him at Premier League level doing it in his first, proper year at the top flight, to do that, a lad from Workers on the Bay, he'd love to sign for Villa. It's been linked with a few of them. Villa have been linked with him a few times in the past, so it's clear who he's.
Likes of Grealish, really.
Yeah, probably not as fluid. I mean, I think that's where Brent Deer signing come from, to be honest with you, the Grealish replacement, but he hasn't been performing too great.
Not the same player. Not the same player. If I had to pick out of the two of them to kind of replicate a bit more what Jack Grealish is about, it'd be Tom Cantwell, I reckon, because he travels some distances with the ball, doesn't he? And kind of gets them from A to B fairly quickly, and just plays a simple ball a lot of the time. I remember his first season there, obviously, when he come into the Premier League, he was probably trying to do a little bit too much. But obviously, he's a young kid coming into a big arena and on a big stage, trying to impress. And I get that. That's what it's all about, I suppose. But I think obviously he'll be a bit more measured now, knowing the Premier League and knowing, well, obviously Dean Smith will set him up a certain way. And I think it'll be interesting for Norwich. I think they will pick up some points. Let's just hope for you guys it's not this game.
Yeah. But that'd be an interesting theory, whether how much Dean Smith wants him at Villa. He's the one that's brought him back in at Norwich. Maybe Villa's interest may not be there for Cantwell anymore, because Smith wants him. He obviously wants him at Villa by the sound of it, and now he's using him at Norwich. So you see what he's all about. It'll be a tough game, but in terms of the way we managed West Ham last week was top notch, really. They didn't really.
They were brilliant.
They didn't hurt us at all, West Ham. I mean, I've never been so comfortable in a 1-0 situation. I've never been so comfortable. Even going into the last few minutes, I was like, there's no way this team is going to score. There's just, unless we make a complete ash of things, which we can be culpable to do. But no, we've so comfortable throughout the game. I didn't fear them at all. I was before the game. I thought they'd give an absolute tonking, but throughout the game, you was just watching it, just thinking they're not going to break us down. Max Kilman was on top form.
Ruben Neves, brilliant, wasn't he? Ruben Neves had a great game.
He just absolutely ran the show, and sort of a bit fearful at the moment the way that he started the season, because I think teams are going to be watching now, and I think if we don't get Europe, this would be his last season in the Wolves shirt, I think.
Yeah, maybe. Well, they're looking good for the money so far, Wolves. I know that much.
Yeah, I think it's important with, like I say, we win these few games. I think not only with what I mentioned, the few tough games come up, like against Chelsea and Liverpool, might have City coming up as well, I think.
Yeah, I think you have as well.
You know, we're capable of beating these teams. So if we go into them games losing to Norwich and Burnley, then I'm probably sort of fearing the worst. But I've known us bounce back against unpredictable teams or where you're not expecting to win, then we do.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got to go in with confidence, and I think beating Norwich and Burnley will be
definitely stand you in good stead going into them other games, won't it? Definitely.
Yeah.
So you've been picking up some great results thanks to me, and
keep going.
I've had them having a positive result every week, I think.
Have you gone for one this week?
Well, I've gone with them to beat Norwich 2-1 this week.
Exactly the same here.
I think
2-1 Wolves I've had, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I think it won't be as clear cut as we think it's going to be. We could have probably thought it would have been a few weeks ago.
Every game in the Premier League should be tough. I know, like we was probably saying Norwich are gone, and maybe if they win this one, then we might be saying, well, yeah, they could actually stay up there. But
yeah. But if they win this one, we might be saying Newcastle are gone.
Yeah. Be 6 points behind Norwich already.
Yeah. That's scary, that.
Yeah. It's like I said, it could be a very long way back for me if I don't get any results before January comes, because it's not just that, it's bedding players in as well, isn't it?
Yeah. What have
the tip I've gone for? Well, I've gone for one on each team this time. I usually go for the bookings of the games. So I've noticed Max Aaron's disciplinary record hasn't been amazing this season, so I've gone for him to get booked. Okay. Max Aaron's. And for us, we usually have a changeover of Neves or Moutinho. Neves had his booking last week, so I'm going for Moutinho to take one for the team this week.
Joe Moutinho for Wolves. Right, then, brilliant. So there's your tips and your match predictions. So next up, we've got the last of the Saturday games. We've got Brighton and Leeds. This is an interesting one. This is a very interesting one. Got a
Leeds are very depleted, aren't they? I think they've lost Rafinha again, haven't they? He wasn't playing last week.
He didn't play last week. I'm not sure whether he's playing this week. I think he might be.
It's always a better watch when
I think Bamford's due back as well, you know.
Is he?
Yeah.
They need them back. I mean, the most concerning thing for Leeds looking at is the depletion in defence. They just don't have their.
The problem is they've had 5 defensive injuries to the likes of Dan Ayling. They've had Struijk. All these players were out. Cooper was out briefly as well. So they've had a bad run of it really with injuries.
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of Wolves last season. We're just constantly getting injuries in places where you don't want to. Obviously with the Jimenez injury as well on top of that.
Yeah.
At the time, they've probably sort of seen it with Bamford. Gelhart's come in and really put himself about. It's probably not at the stage in his career where he's going to be banging in 15 goals a career, but he does try hard.
Mm-hmm.
They played really well the first half against Spurs last week, Leeds, which might.
And then they kind of capitulated at the end. It was just like, he just literally died in the end.
It's almost like they was playing to the script of we've got to let Conte win his first home game, and it's almost like they'll just let him win it in the end, wasn't it? But
bought off Chelsea.
Yeah. I was the first half hour. I was really impressed with Leeds. Really going at Spurs.
Calvin Phillips had Kane in his pocket as well.
Yeah, playing at centre half as well, wasn't he himself? I think at some point. So.
Briefly swapping back, weren't he? But I tell you what, yeah, they did look good. But it just shows Rafinha makes that team tick, man. He really does.
Yeah, I'll say he's one of the few players who I think. If I was to watch a Premier League game live, it'd be a player to get me off my feet. You know, the way you can get around players, looks like very direct at goal as well.
Yeah.
Real top talent, and maybe even could see him at Champions League club next season.
I got a feeling he'll go Liverpool, me.
There's a chance, I mean, like whether they would fit him in with the Salah. I know Salah's going to be him 30 or he's 30 already. You know, it's probably a bit tough for him to be a starter, but to definitely bring on in games. Maybe with his injury record, he might be a more sporadic player there, like an impact player. But
exactly that.
Yeah, it could happen. It could happen. But yeah, Brighton, like I said, with sort of the Brentford thing, sort of dropped off a bit, but I don't expect them to drop off to the same extent as Brentford.
Mm-hmm.
I expect them to still be up there in the top half. I think they'll still get a top half finish this season. They're at the very least top 10, I think. But I think if you're going by how if Leeds can perform the same as they did against Spurs last week in the first half hour, we'll keep it up for the game. I'm going for a 1-1 draw.
That's interesting. I've gone with a 2-1 Leeds.
Oh, have you?
I think when you've talked and we've talked about it, and you said about this is slowly where Brighton start dropping and finding the level a little bit within the league standings. I think this is going to be still within them realms, I think. And I think Leeds, this is a game that really favours Leeds and their kind of style of play. It really does. Whereas you look at the other games, they're all like that they come up against. They're all big games, aren't they? Big games. Yeah. And they just go about the business playing the way that they want to play. But sometimes, because they ship too many goals and defensively they've not been great, that's where the downfall is. But with something like this against Brighton, all it takes is Brighton come at them and Leeds will go at them back. It'll be an all counter-attack. It's a perfect Bielsa game, this, I think. I think Leeds are going to come out with 3 points.
It'd be an interesting one. You could pull off the prediction of the weekend if we pull out a win out of that. But I think, like I said, I'm probably going through squad depletion, where we'll see whether the main guys are back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, then it could be an interesting one. I think it's a lot better to, even though Leeds gave a good against themselves against Spurs, it's always great to see them with their full strength team because they're exciting to watch them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. So, what's your match for what's your in-game tip for this one? Sorry, bud.
The last few Brighton home games and the last few Leeds away games. So Leeds have given a few teams a good kick-ins, picked up a fair few points in bookings. And Brighton, the last couple have got a bit tetchy, and that's since a bit of a drop-off in form. So I've gone for over 45 booking points.
Okay.
Again, if you've never watched it, it's 10 points for a yellow card, 25 points if it's a red card. I think it's 30. Yeah, it's 35 if it's a second yellow and the red. So,
it's one red card and 2 yellow cards wins you the bet.
Yeah, over 45 points. So yeah, you could just, if you're going to go by yellow cards, basically 5 yellows in the game.
So win you that. Right, on to the Sunday fixtures then, Lee. We've got Brentford and Everton.
Yeah, I was just trying to get up Everton's. They're sort of like picked up a couple of points, haven't they, recently? Just trying to recap my memory on Everton. I lost to City last week. It was inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
But they did manage to pick up a point the week before against Spurs, which was a bit better. And they should be looking to come to Brentford to try and win this game now. Brentford got a decent point, to try and stop the rot of defeats against Newcastle, where we probably predicted that Newcastle may get their first win of the season. But
how wrong we were.
Yeah. Well, Everton are a really tough team to beat at the same time. Whether they're in good form, bad form, you've got to be on top of your game to beat them.
Yeah.
Because, like I seen in the Wolves game when we beat them 2-1 at Molineux, we were dominant for most of that game, and then we just switched off for a minute of the score, So we've got to be careful. We've got to be careful. Everyone who play Everton have got to be careful of not switching off. But with Brentford, I think it'll be pretty over. I can see Brentford scoring a couple of goals. I'm going for 2-2.
Boom.
Same.
2-2.
Yeah, I think, but at the same time, Everton aren't going to be in for an easy game. I think Brentford might just pick up a little bit of encouragement from that point at St James's Park as well.
Yeah.
So.
Showing that they can come back and make life difficult for teams. And say Tony found the net again. He's obviously had a bit of a barrier.
Yeah, a bit of confidence for him, isn't it? So
I said he was going to be a handful for Newcastle. Do you remember?
I do. Well, it's a former club thing as well, isn't it? Bite the hand that used to feed you.
You know it. That's what happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't get a look in, and then they play the absolute socks off. And that's what happened. I could foresee it a mile off. So anyway, what's your in-game tips? I suppose you're going with both teams to score on this one? Or
Close over 2.5 goals.
over 2.5
Because we're at 2-2, I've gone over 2.5 goals, yeah.
Excellent. Right then, Burnley and Tottenham.
The Spurs have had a really disappointing result as we record this. They've lost to Mura in the conference. I think they've gone out now. I'm sure they've been eliminated from that tournament. Maybe what they wanted. It's not going to look good on Conte's behalf for that. But they did have a man sent off at the same time, but no excuse really.
We're ashamed of ourselves.
This is what I hate about Premier League teams losing to sides like that. You know, that team probably pay their best player about £1,000 a week if that. You got players like Harry Kane and all that on whoever played in that game, whether Kane did or not. I know also and
these poor buggers have gone home to get their head down quickly, so they get up to go to the sheet metal job on at 6 o'clock in the morning.
At least they'll be buzzing with it. They might not get no sleep. This is what I hate about money in the game. You know, just losing to teams. You know, fair play to the team that have beaten fantastic, but you can't be earning that much money and then lose to a team like that.
Yeah.
It's either that or they wanted days. I don't even know what that Conference League bring, what you get for winning it. I don't know if you go Champions League place or what. Or
I haven't got a clue.
I know you do for the Europa League, but I'm not sure whether, unless you get in the playoffs of the Champions League qualifiers, I'm not too sure.
It all seems a big farce to me.
Yeah.
It's like just another money-making infill scam.
Well, I used to love growing up the knockouts of just having UEFA Cup and the Cup Winners' Cup.
Yeah.
Well, it was fantastic. You know, you don't need to play off. Maybe at the time when they changed it, it was interesting to see the format of a 4-team group and playing each other twice. But I'd happily have knockouts back in Europe now.
Brilliant.
But it's all money. It's all money, isn't it? So
every game a knockout would be mint.
Yeah. It's all money, because if a big team gets knocked out, they lose their money, don't they? So.
I remember sitting there with my mum watching games like Red Star Belgrade against Partizan and shit like that, you know, and just like, wow, never heard of them. You know, back then when I was a kid.
Yeah, you do. That's what picks up your knowledge of these teams. I mean, I always remember the first time I come across Tromsø in Norway. They played Chelsea, and it was absolutely, I think, in Norway, absolutely blitzed down with snow, and they was playing with an orange ball. I was just fascinated. There was absolutely, I'm sure, flow hit the ball and a lot of snow come off. He scored about 5 goals in that game.
He had an absolute blinder in that game.
Yeah, so just stuff like that, you know, that you used to love knockout. Like, they just went for it. They just didn't care. There weren't no holding back or sitting back. It was just brilliant to watch. For me, you know, the quality's gone up in these years, but 90s football, you won't beat it.
It was a brilliant era for football. I agree 100%. That was my favourite era for football.
It was.
I dominated the 90s.
Yeah. I've gone for Spurs to win 1-0 in this game. I think they'll bounce back. I think they'll just blind it out. I think Conte will want a response from whoever was involved in that Thursday night game.
Yeah.
Burnley, I'm still expecting to probably be that third team to go down. I think Newcastle and Norwich are looking like those favourites at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I still keep thinking this is Burnley's years to go now. You know, the good thing they've got is a manager who knows how to get out of that. But
I think they go in as well. The more I watch each week, even though they're getting the odd result here and there, I can't see it long term. And I've gone with Burnley 1, Tottenham 2. I think there'll be 1 goal in it as well. But
if it's going by tonight's showing, I probably should have changed it to Burnley at least scoring the goal against them. So.
So what are you going with your in-game tips then, Leroy?
I think you just get some good odds on Spurs getting the win. To be honest, I'll just go with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it won't be far. I don't think it'll be over the odds, but I think it'll be just under evens. But you know, to add if you add that in with another couple of bets, I think Spurs to win, you get a good price on that.
Ideal. Right, Leicester and Watford.
Yeah, well, you know when
this could be boring.
We got Ranieri returning to Leicester, but it's just so weird to the way he was when he was at Leicester, because it was a lot of 1-0 or 2-1s, you know, just sneaking the victories, wasn't he, when he was getting the wins. He's come to Watford now. They've beat Man U 4-1. They beat Everton 5-2.
Going to be Champions League soon, dude. Tinker, man. I bet Watford fans are like, oh, you know, we're going to win this, bad boy.
They'll probably get close and then they'll sack him. The way they do it. Leicester have been, for me, awful. The biggest underperformers in the league. Well, probably take away Spurs, actually, you know. One of the biggest underperformers because they've run on some good form under Rodgers from last year, you know, getting the cup win as well.
Mm-hmm.
Last couple of years have just missed out on Champions League. We may just see a bit of a resurgence from Leicester now, I think. Depending, I'm not too sure where they've got on tonight. Actually, I think they're playing in the Europa League, aren't they?
Thursday, innit?
Yeah. I'll try and get that up. Pardon me. Here we go. They are 3-1 up against Ledger, so should be seeing themselves through in that.
Mm-hmm.
So you got Patson Daka, you know, he should be getting more starts in the Premier League, really.
I don't understand why he keeps playing Vardy at the minute ahead of him, to be honest, because Daka looks a good one, mate.
Nostalgia, isn't it? Nostalgia. Mm-hmm. He's only had 4 appearances in the Premier League, just had a look.
Yeah, he's hardly been playing. So they keep playing him in Europe, and he's scoring like 12 or something.
He's probably the leading scorer in the Europa League.
I bet he is. He scored 4 in one game.
He scored again tonight. So, yeah, I'm expecting a bit of a resurgence now from Leicester. So they've got to start knuckling down. They'll have a little bit of a break once they got through this group stage of Europa League up until February, I think, when they come back, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see a bit of resurgence. I've gone for Leicester to win 2-0.
I've gone to win 2-1.
Yeah, it's a tough. Watford are the hardest team to pick at the moment because some of the results are pulling out, and then whether it's win or lose, it's just an absolute goal fest, and it's just not the Ranieri way now.
No, I fancy Watford when they play at home. I do, but less so when they play away, I think. Whereas, I don't know, I just think, like a bit like yourself, they can't keep having bad results, Leicester. You know, sooner or later, things change, and obviously it takes the one game, the one win to just kind of get you back on track and instill a bit of confidence back in the team. And obviously, if they're 3-1 up tonight already against Legia, then going into the weekend, it can only bode well for him, I suppose. I think Daka's going to force his hand to start in the Premiership.
Yeah, it's nice. It could be a good game to stick him in against Watford. You know, they're thinking, oh, that's probably a lower team, and then put them in. I think the main difference Leicester's turning form will be Johnny Evans at the back.
Yeah.
A very, very underrated defender.
Absolutely. United got the wrong one. We should have re-signed Johnny Evans.
Yeah, well, they should have kept him in the first place. You know, seen him through. I think he'd have been, you know, you probably would have never. He'd
have been a first choice for like 3 seasons now.
Yeah, but the Albion fans loved him. He was just outstanding for them. You know, he was probably the reason why they probably stayed up that little bit longer as well.
Absolutely.
But when
nice things at the back.
Yeah, when they signed it, I was shocked they signed for a team where probably looking to survive relegation every year, because
what about Fletch? Fletch did the same.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he signed for Stoke and Albion, didn't he? Yeah, I mean, Fletch probably.
Albion first, wasn't he?
Say that again.
Albion first, then went to Stoke. Didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, again, I think with the way Albion set themselves as, I know they're not under the great ownership, but I think a lot of people see him as a good club to work for.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, with Johnny Evans, you know, like at the time. Why couldn't have someone like Arsenal have gone in for him? I think they'd never had the bit of the halt that they had to
exactly
to their time in the in the top four. I think they could have still been challenging though if he'd have gone there a few years ago. City
were after him and all.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I think that might have been when he was at Albion though. I'm sure there was on the bet signing.
He was at Albion.
His performance for Albion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so very underrated. Probably one of the most underrated, if not at the moment. So, I mean, he is knocking on a bit now, probably at 33, something like that, isn't he? But
I'd say still, if you go through the defensive partnerships in the Premiership, I'd say you come across Johnny Evans and you think that he has got to still be, and has been for a fair few years, the most underrated defender, looking at what his team's achieved while he's been playing. So it's a no-brainer for me, I agree. So what are you saying in regards to your betting tip for this one, Lee?
I've gone for over 9.5 corners, and if the corners, which means 10 to win the bet. If the corners are coming in this game, because I think both teams might have a go at each other. This could be a bit end-to-end, this game, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Keep an eye on someone like Johnny Evans, maybe knocking in an any-time goal score. So.
There's an extra tip for you guys.
He usually nicks a couple of goals, and we haven't. I mean, defender. I've noticed in the last week or so, a lot of defenders start at the back of the net. I've been looking and thinking, why didn't I back him more? I'm saying that. I think last week, I sure looked at the Premier League last week. There's a load of defenders scoring goals.
There was,
and I think one that I've noticed this before because I remember I had a really good run around December. I remember it was Mick McCarthy's year in Premier League with Wolves, but I must have won about £400 on first. This was just first goal scores, never mind any time, and this was through defenders.
You were talking about that even at the early start when we first started doing them. Even a lot of your betting tips were heavily based on defenders.
Yeah, centre halves. Yeah, and my dad will vouch for that because he always whenever a defender scores, he says you back him. But yeah, even Titus Bramble at 80 to 1. I always remember Titus Bramble at 80 to 1 scoring. It's the worst goal you've ever seen in your life, but it went in.
He was shitting. Sorry, Titus. Sorry, mate. But you was shocking.
he always had this reputation as being the bad defender, but he always used to win Player of the Year for his club. I don't know whether it was a joke going on or whether
I think everyone else was blind or something.
Maybe it was just an ongoing joke that they just vote for him at the end of the season. But yeah, I don't know what all the fuss was. If these teams are voting him, I really don't know. Maybe we can get a fan on of Sunderland, Wigan, Newcastle to actually
and Ipswich
justify that. I think he actually was good at Ipswich.
I don't think he was. I
think that's what got him his move, wasn't it? I'm sure that's what got him his move to the Premier League. So.
He wasn't. He just overachieved in a season. That's all that happened.
I was going to say. I was going to say about defenders scoring at this time of year. I do wonder whether it's a psychological thing of obviously they're so used to winning these aerial battles and that, whether when the cold snap comes, whether they're just that little bit braver to still go for these high balls in the area, or maybe they've just got that little bit more about them being used to heading the ball than say if they had a striker marking them on the set piece or something. Mm-hmm. I've always found that quite interesting. Why it always seems to be defenders scoring around this time of year. I just don't think most of them lose that knack of having to head the ball.
Grit, determination when it's cold.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If there's a midfielder marking him and he's not that used to heading the ball all game, maybe he's not fancying jumping up for it. Or, it could be an interesting to keep an eye on it. See how many defenders can score goals from now to January.
I'm going to keep a tally.
Yeah. If you did from last week, it'd be off to a fantastic start.
Exactly, there were a few last week, definitely. Right then, 2 games remaining, guys. Manchester City against West Ham.
Yeah,
West Ham have the hallmarks to be a good game, this, but it depends whether West Ham turn up. I think they could be in their little free-for-all a bit now, where they kind of start slipping a few places, which for the likes of moi here and yourself would be a half decent thing looking at where we're both positioned in the table. So
yeah, I mean, like if they play anything like they did against us, they got absolutely no chance of getting anything out of the game. They actually paid $100,000 for Antonio to return early, didn't they? And I don't even know if he actually did return, to be honest with you, if you're looking from the way I saw it. But I've mentioned to you before, I've not worst individual performance I've seen from a player a few years ago.
Yeah.
Wasn't far off. This time he didn't have the ball enough.
God, they touched it, did he?
Yeah. I mean, the only ones who look like they had anything about him, there's Royce, you can see his improvement in the game of closing the man down. Sort of, he's got an engine, hasn't he? Sort of reminds me of
Yeah, you say that, but I tell you what, he almost burns himself out for like the last 20 minutes. He's almost like a dead man walking for the last 20 minutes, whereas he put so much into the first 70. It's almost like they need a replacement for the last 20 minutes because towards the end, he was like, every time Wolves went forward, Podence, and he looked fantastic, by the way.
Yeah, it took about 20 minutes against the game, but when he got going, I think it's a weird one with Podence because usually he'll make an impact off the bench, and then when you give him the start, he doesn't take his chance.
Mm-hmm.
But finally,
when does that Neto come back?
I think we're looking at New Year, probably late December, New Year. If he comes back anything like he was, then we're going to be scary in attack. There's rumours of Traoré leaving, but
Jimenez is starting to look better again.
Yeah, he's got a cracking goal against West Ham. Probably he was right opposite where I sit, where Jimenez scored, and the way he took it, really just the pace on it.
Oh man!
To take that first time as well, the pace of the pass, and put it in at the pace he did past Fabianski, who's a
good keeper.
Trying to put my finger on what it is with Fabianski, why he hasn't really ever been voted as like one of the best in the league. It might be something to do with distribution. Maybe I don't see it as much when I watch him live, but
yeah, I think he's got a bit of De Gea about him, where his distribution isn't all that. He's not like modern day keeper where everyone's wanting him to kind of be that like extra man in the play, I suppose, where he goes long quite a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'd say he's usually been. I mean, mind you, when you've got Antonio up top, you should usually probably be utilising that a bit, shouldn't you?
Mm-hmm. What about City on the back of beating Paris Saint-Germain?
Yeah, no, I've never seen the game against PSG, but they were pretty much the dominant team. I was expecting them to win that game anyway, to be honest. I think they usually do at home.
Yeah. So the way I come back down to it, and you set a team up, and unfortunately United have had something similar, but PSG have definitely got it. And you look at Tuchel. Tuchel couldn't get anything out of them guys really at PSG, and now he's come to the Premier League, he's tearing it up with Chelsea. Whereas Pochettino obviously done very well with Tottenham for a while until the wheels fell off a little bit, and some of the players threw him under a bus. But up to that point, he was fantastic. He can't get the best out of this bunch. But when you've got three lazy gits like that, Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, who will not track, who will not close anybody down, it's like you're playing with 8 men. So, and it was so easy. It was so easy watching City just go from defence to midfield to attack. It is like, wow, you're putting all that pressure on the midfield, and the problem is you've got a couple of the midfielders which were getting caught too far ahead of play, and it's too much. It doesn't matter who you've got at the back and remaining in midfield to kind of cover. They're not going to cover when you've got the whole of the City's team. We're not just talking about someone like, I don't know, FC Köln or something like that. We're talking Man City. We're talking the most attacking threat in world football today, give or take.
I think PSG's like demeanour on it all to try and it's like too many cooks spoil the broth, isn't it? Because they've got 3 world-class strikers. Yes, I mean, they'll call them world-class. I think Pepe probably would be classing the world-class to 90% of people. That's probably because they see it on FIFA or because he's fast and all that. But
exactly that.
I have my doubts about what he could actually do. In a big league.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that as well.
Messi's just like a whingy little kid.
Yeah, but the problem is, right,
well.
it comes from the management sometimes. It doesn't matter who them players are, and it's the same with us at United, right? It doesn't matter we've got Ronaldo in there. If they're part of that team, you listen to the orders of the team, and the orders from the manager are you press from the front. If you're not going to press from the front, you're not playing. Simple as.
But I was just going to say the difference there is City are a team, and maybe on paper we've had they haven't really got a recognised striker. That's about apart from Jesus.
Scored again though.
Yeah. He's a really good player, but he's probably not as amazing looking on paper, is he, as the front three of PSG? But fact is, if he's got people who are working together to create him chances, he's going to take them. So
he'll up front.
And Pep won't have. He won't have. If he went to PSG, then you could probably put it on them that they'll come very close to winning the Champions League. Rather than see him winning it anytime soon. To be honest with you, I know he hasn't done it with City yet. Maybe a little bit of misfortune along the way, I suppose.
I reckon it could be the year though. This year.
I think they'll want to knuckle down and get it. I think they're a lot closer to it than what PSG are. Yeah,
100%. Messi's just going to fail yet again. Doesn't matter where he goes, he ain't going to pick that up again now.
No, I mean, he ain't happy there, is he? He weren't happy he ever had to go
Already
there.
talking about him wanting to go back to Barca.
Yeah.
Putting a deal together for him to return.
I can see it before he finishes. He'll probably end his career there, won't he?
Well, he wants to live there, doesn't he? That's his home.
Yeah.
He's been there for so long. It's like Ronaldo coming home.
Yeah. This was a really quick one for Messi, though, wasn't it? Yeah.
I said he won last year, didn't we? We had that conversation.
Yeah, it's just weird seeing him away from there full stop. Even if he came to a Premier League team, like if he came in his pomp, everyone would be excited. But
it's weird seeing him in a really shit league struggling.
He did score his first goal last week, I think, didn't he?
I know, yeah, but
that shows how disinterested he is, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It'd be different if he had come in his pomp to the Premier League, he'd have gave his all because he'd now have to prove a point. He's now 34.
I think he was scared to death of the Premiership.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
First of all, every time he's played against the British clubs, they've absolutely torn him a new arsehole. And secondly, kicked him up and down as well, some of the time. So physical. Secondly, until a kid, like the odd game, obviously he scored in a couple of games, probably Chelsea and City maybe over the time, and obviously scored that free kick against Liverpool in the first leg.
I was quite surprised to see, but I'm sure he scored over 20 goals against English clubs. This was really surprising for me because I remember a time where he couldn't score against the English teams.
That's what I mean. He struggled for a long time against English clubs, didn't he?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. In the latter days, he started scoring a few goals, but yeah, I don't know. I just don't think he'd have done what he wouldn't have done. What Messi's doing now, what Ronaldo's doing now for United for whoever he's representing.
Yeah, I've always gone Ronaldo over Messi just for the fact he's played in 3 of the top. I mean, even before he played in the Italian league, I sort of Ronaldo was that man to turn
out everywhere and literally shone everywhere he's been, and broken records everywhere he's been. And when it comes down to the big goals and the big games, Ronaldo's the man.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, like Messi scored some amazing goals in his career. Like you just got breathtaking, but you're looking at him thinking, who's that defender who's took on? Who's that defender who's took on? Just Ronaldo can turn up against the big boys, can't he? So probably doesn't look so much like that. People probably slate him that he didn't score against someone like Watford or something like that, but he didn't score, did he?
No.
Make himself look silly there.
No,
But he's 36 now.
Yeah, Donny come back in and scored.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that ironic was that.
Yeah, Ronaldo set him up though. Sancho to Ronaldo to Donny, and I'm all over that, mate. Sancho's looked fantastic his last couple of games.
Well, we need to see him back at his usual self, don't we? Especially for the England setup.
Well, under Rangnick, he'll kind of be favoured among anyone because he knows the German way. He's been
so
there.
he'll fall into his philosophy. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. He's going to be the beneficiary, 100% in that squad. Probably ahead of Rashford as well. Rashford probably won't get as much of a look in as Sancho will on the right, meaning Rashford on the left might not get as much of a look in under Rangnick, really. I've got a feeling he'll go for something like Cavani and Ronaldo up top as well.
Could be. I'd be interested to say. I don't know too much about his tactics. We'll find out when. I don't think he'll be in charge of the Chelsea game. I think they'll say.
I think he'll still see Carrick.
He bottled that one exist defeat.
Interesting though, and I tell you what, I've been saying it for ages. Donny van der Beek has to play for Manchester United, and I think he must be licking his lips now, knowing that Rangnick's coming in, because I think obviously Dutch as well. They've got a similar kind of philosophy, and I think he'll be a starter. I think you ain't going to see a McFred in a Rangnick side. Honestly, I really don't believe you'll see much of them at all.
I'll tell you what, we'll get this out the way, the City one, then we'll get back onto Man U.
Yeah, go for it.
I've gone for 3-1 City.
I've gone with 3-1 City. Yeah.
Both score no draws.
Right, okay. We'll score no draw. So, let's go on to the one that we are actually half talking about then. Chelsea and Manchester United concluding the Sunday fixtures.
Yeah, so there's a Rangnick bottle. I reckon he's bottled this, hasn't he? Because they're playing Chelsea. You don't want to go for a bad start. So.
Yeah, but then what? He comes back for the Arsenal match.
Is it Arsenal that he's going to be his first game?
Yeah.
He should be looking to win that one now, shouldn't he, at the same time? But
yeah, well, yeah, I think Ollie might have struggled to win that game, but I think Rangnick will be fancying this, man. I'm telling you. We've got a proper master tactician coming into Old Trafford. I'm telling you now, you wait.
It will be interesting to see. I think it could be. I was actually thinking earlier, since Alex has gone, if he pulls off some good results here, I mean, I was trying to think it would be the best appointment since Alex. But at the same time, you've had someone like Mourinho coming in. Yes, it didn't work to the way it could have done for him, but he was.
We haven't got with Van Gaal and Mourinho. We didn't have the squad we've got now.
Yeah, so with Mourinho, you may have had a bit more luck. Well, he still got you a title or two, didn't he, Mourinho? At the time.
Well, no, he got a second. He got a second, and he won Europa, yeah. So
he still proved he could win titles at the time. That's what I was trying to think, whether Rangnick coming could show it's the best tactical appointment that they made since Alex went. But we do know Mourinho.
He's almost what we need. He's almost really is. I'm so excited by this appointment. Honestly, you don't realise. Even the fact that after this, he's doing the consultancy for 2 years. I'm really, really happy by that, because you look at what he kind of brings to these clubs. He wants to get balls deep in the kind of philosophies and obviously the history of the clubs and stuff like that. Really put his all into it. And to be honest, you don't want to be 6 months him absolutely tearing it up and then going, oh, right, well, don't want anything to do with that's you done completely. To have him still kind of there offering and still doing a bits and talent spotting and all this kind of stuff that goes with it. Yeah, it's an exciting time. If he's got him playing us away, and then whoever comes in after have almost got to go, right, well, we'll have to carry this on because it's worked.
I think I read somewhere saying he'll want a discussion on whether he can have first dibs at going in for the job next year if it goes well for him.
Yeah, and so he should.
Yeah. Because
I'd be all over that. I'd be all over that before having Pochettino as manager. Honestly, I would.
We've seen a few times. I mean, Chelsea are the main benefactors of it. I know they're doing this maybe interim running. You know, they had Hiddink and he did well. They all loved Hiddink, didn't they?
They loved it. He had some great results for Chelsea, though.
Yeah, and even Di Matteo was interim winning the Champions League, and then he obviously got the job in the summer, and then they sacked him after so long. So.
Yeah, that was really
it can work, especially when you've got someone who's proven to the job. Hiddink definitely was at the time. It's a shame we never had more of Hiddink in the Premier League. But...
Yeah, I thought he'd come back in some kind of respect, but just never did.
Yeah.
So what are you saying for this match result? Anyway, this will be interesting.
I don't know. My phone's just gone off. 2-1 Chelsea. I've gone for.
You backstab. Backstab.
That backstab anything.
Here's me putting Wolves to win just for your benefit every week.
It might be. I'm doing it for your benefit if I have them to lose or win.
You've been having United lose every bloody week, and we have been. No, I've gone with Chelsea 2, Man United 2.
But they'll want to impress there, you know. If he's watching the game, they'll definitely want to go at him. Mm-hmm. Maybe they'll be thinking if Carrick picks up a result at Stamford Bridge, they're thinking, oh, maybe we should have stuck with Carrick.
And they've got 2 injuries, Kante and Chilwell.
Yeah, Chilwell looks like could be out for the season, doesn't he?
Mm.
But I know the fans don't rave about Alonso, but he's definitely a threat going forward.
Yeah, but he's the one to attack when we defend, when we go in at the defenders as well.
Yeah.
He's the Trent Alexander-Arnold of Chelsea.
Because if Sancho plays and he's on the form he has been the last few games, might give him a tough time, hasn't he?
Yeah, he'll literally tear him inside. I'm really excited. I think that we've turned a corner slightly. Even right at the beginning, obviously, first half, it wasn't much different in regards to United. But it was all about staying in the game. He had a bit of a plan, wanted to bring on Rashford and, and just kind of change it up a little bit. Second half, Bruno Fernandes came on, obviously. And the team that finished looked a shite side different to the team that started, meaning in respect to urgency and pressing, and it just looked a lot better. Fred played in more of an advanced role and looked a lot better, believe it or not. I've always been Dani Alves raving about Fred in the headlines, going on about he doesn't play that deep for Brazil, and you should see him going forward and what he creates. And I'm going, I don't see it. He can't usually pass a ball from me to you now on this screen without it being inspected. So, but as I say, I think we've still got this thing about us where a new manager comes in and we go a bit balmy. And pulling out.
It happened under Solskjaer, didn't it? And everyone was saying him, because that's what I was saying to you in the week, when Ole got sacked, you don't want to go back to route one of Carrick getting a good run and then it going back to the same way of once it gets found out, is he going to be able to deal with it? And
I think the only difference with Solskjaer was the fact that he'd been at Molde, he'd won titles, he changed the kind of mould for mould. He changed the mould for him, obviously, whoever was winning it before, Rosenberg, I suppose, wasn't it? And they started winning stuff, and then some decent players were coming out of there. He had Holland, obviously, and he can kind of count. In a way, he's had Premiership experience, not the best with Cardiff, but he had some. So, and then he's come in, obviously, on a caretaker basis and went on a mad run, which was crazy, really. And you've almost got to give him that opportunity. So then he's come in and then he's got the job full time. And then we started having a few bad results. But then he started getting rid of a few players as well out on loan to permanent buys, and then getting rid of some of the big contracts, and then started he bought really well. I'd say that's the one major thing that Solskjaer's done really, really well for Manchester United as well. Getting rid of the players that didn't want to be there for the shirt and bought very, very well. Harry Maguire, who I'm just starting to wonder was a bad decision.
Well, he was doing all right, wasn't he? And then this season it seems to have just shot down on him, doesn't he?
He turns like a Queen Murray.
But the problem with Maguire that's come with him was the price tag, wasn't it? You know, if he had come for about 25 million, something like that, then we wouldn't get off it. I think the thing is that, you know, you gave Phil Jones, we've mentioned it before, we've had people like Phil Jones as a defender, Johnny Evans got stick for no reason off other fans for not being a Man United type player, and, you know, but they are Man United type players, but this scrutiny constantly on them, isn't it? So because of who they're playing for.
Tell you what, Arthur Premiership's been linked with Phil Jones in January, and they could do much worse, some of these teams, than getting Phil Jones. I'm telling you now, I've rated him over the time, and he's had a bad injury record, hell of a bad injury record, but I think he's a good player. If he can keep fit, he's a good player. Definitely,
yeah. I've gotten over 2.5 goals for the tip on that one.
Excellent. Right then, guys, that concludes our show for this week. We're going to have another one in a couple of days' time, which is going to take midweek games this week. So please like, share, and subscribe. We're on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. And as Lee said to you before the game, get onto DSFG Clothing on Instagram and pop in your code of pre-match for 20% off. And yeah, hope you get some good luck with your in-game tips this week, because I think Lee got some very, very good ones last week, quite a lot, to be honest. So don't pick them all out at once. Don't pick them all out. We'll go back to it. What'd you say, Lee? Don't pick them all out once.
Yeah, but it just ended in disappointments. Even if you pick as, even if you put it as £5 singles, if you've got the money to put £5 to £10 singles on it, you probably see the benefit of it, I think. But I haven't got the money to do that.
It's big money. Yep, so thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you again on the next one in a couple of days. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.